Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. This is Drive Safe Dave, along with Buckle Up Bob today, as Sir Rick is out today and will be back probably in a remote mode tomorrow. But until then, it is you and me, Bob. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, Drive Safe. Thanks for asking.
And I'll tell you that behind the boards, we've got the ever-present, ever-young, moving forward producer. What you got, producer?
Ever young's a big statement, Dave. I can hope for that, but I know eventually the hair's gonna be gone, and it's I'm gonna have wrinkles. It's gonna be fine.
In the heart, sir.
Okay, I can live with that. I'll take that.
Can you not be ever young in the heart?
I can.
That's what I'm talking about here, and I agree. I hope to be the same. And we've got a lot going on today. Good stuff. Very busy. A lot of action going on here. On the show for you. Don't think that we're going to leave anything on the table because Sir Rick wasn't able to make it today. Buckle Up Bob has brought his A game to the show today. And that dude, I tell you what, he came in, rolled his sleeves up. Look at him over here. Pushed his sleeves up and said, "Hey, I'm ready to get to work. What you got this morning?" And I was like, "Whoa, slow down there, Bob. We've got to make sure that we have a good show." All right, first of all, let's start off with some stuff in the news that's very disconcerting. One of those is the shooting in Michigan that happened yesterday. I'll tell you, very tragic event. Another high school shooting. This one left, 4 dead, 7 wounded. Did you see any of that information on the news, Bob?
Yeah. Oh, did one die? Because it was 3 and 8. 8 were critical,
now we're to 4.
Another one died. Oh,
yeah.
Goodness. No, and what I did see was, this is the 28th shooting this year, I believe, in this country, in the high schools. You know, years ago you had 2 places that were off limits for violence was a church and school systems, right? And they're just not. They seem to be the focal points now, and it's just disheartening that this stuff still goes on.
Yeah, and as we report the news, and we don't understand fully why. I mean, there is really no excuse. We want our children to be safe, right? What you got, producer?
Yeah, judging from what I've been reading up on the story, the person who actually committed the shooting has not said anything at all, has been invoking his right not to say anything, and it's a scary thought, both my parents being teachers and my girlfriend being a teacher. It's something that's always been a threat, and it's scary that that's a reality, Just the other day, I was talking to Chelsea, and she was saying anytime a kid comes up and it looks like there's going to be a fight in the room, you don't know if that's going to break out with one of them pulling a gun now. And it's something that's a real concern that I just feel like shouldn't have to be a concern for a teacher. Like if you're going into work, I don't expect to come into work and get shot for whatever reason. I don't think a teacher should be. Nobody expects it. Yeah.
Well, you should with Big Blue, maybe, but.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking more swords is probably the bigger issue.
It's more of a sword type action. He's more into or nunchucks.
No, but seriously,
some of the Chinese, some of the martial art weapons, usually what Big Blue's famous for, and being surprised by that. I don't think gunpowder plays much into the martial arts.
Right, and I agree with the producer back there. My son was an 8th grade math teacher, and he got out. He said it wasn't the violence that he was worried about of shooting so much. It just isn't the same profession as it was several years ago, where you felt you were rewarding and you were getting through to kids. He says it's just in this day and age, the kids are more entitled, and it's just the teachers are hampered. They're really handcuffed in a lot of cases with certain kind of rules that you can and can't do. I remember back in the day, wasn't no 8th grade, you could still be paddled if you got into a fight or something like that, and you can't do that stuff anymore. And
are you kidding me, Bob?
I was paddled once in school.
In high school, I would take licks instead of D-Hall. What are you talking about? I was like, yeah, I'll take those. Because I ain't sitting for hours in some D-Hall. Give those. Let's go. I'm ready. Me and the vice president, we were on first name basis. I'm going to go on a regular. I'm just saying, not that I was a bad kid, just you could imagine I might have been a little boisterous then too. You know what I mean?
Sounds like you were a bad kid. Is what if you were on first name basis with the assistant principal?
Now,
Probably a bad kid.
Were you pretty much a pretty big kid in school then?
I was
too?
tall. I mean, I've been 6'2" since I was, I don't know, 14 years old.
So you probably had a lot of padding back there and just took the pad.
I took no. When have you seen me with padding back there? It's all up front. I got no padding in the. In fact, I'm not even sure I have a butt. I'm just gonna go.
What's the most unusual thing a teacher ever did to you for discipline? I was just curious because I remember in 6th grade I had a teacher that never paddled, but she did something else.
What is the most weird thing they've
Yeah,
ever done?
I thought it was weird.
I'm gonna tell you most of that's a great question, but I think the weirdest thing that ever happened to me was I had to do some other types of studies other than what the class was doing, and it was, I don't know, it was just weird. Isn't that weird?
I mean, kind of. I had a kid, let me turn myself down a bit. I had a teacher that locked a kid in the closet because he was being too loud. So she was like, "I'm done. I'm over it." Put him in the closet, turned the key, went on with the lesson, let him out the end of class.
Wow.
Straight up.
I don't know that you could get away with.
No, she got fired pretty quickly afterwards, but you know, she got fired afterwards.
Oh yeah,
but
I don't
yeah,
think
it
you
was.
could do that. That's almost that's horribly
I had a
dangerous.
6th grade teacher that if you were talking, she'd walk up beside your desk, grab you by the head of the hair, and start shaking your. I said, quit talking.
Yeah,
that was the weirdest one I ever seen.
There was back in our day. There was a little bit different. They still had. There
you could touch a student.
You could touch a kid. I mean, you could whoop a kid. And by the way, parents would whoop you after you got out.
Yeah, if you got
let me just get this straight. You might get whipping at the school. That was nothing to what you were going to get when you got home and told the sergeant major.
I mean, that's a given that you're going to get beat by your parents afterwards. But Connie Tuttle said that she got duct tape put on her mouth because she talked too much. So that's another one. That's pretty intense too.
Connie, I can believe that about you, dear.
However,
but
all of these things aren't in any way, shape, form, or fashion should they result in gunfire at school. I think that should be one of the most important safe havens that we have. Do we need to go to metal detectors? Does anybody think, is that what we need to do? Because what a weird inset. But if that's the answer, I mean, we do it for airplanes to ensure our safety. I mean, is that what we need to do to ensure the safety of our children? It is very discouraging, but you never know.
I don't see any other way.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's too easy to move a firearm, especially a handgun, in a backpack. How many kids have backpacks today? Every single one of them.
I mean, yeah. You go to school, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Well,
he still had 7 rounds. They said when the police confiscated the gun
and
from
then surrendered it. Yeah, he quickly surrendered.
Yeah, kudos to the police department. I think somebody said they had it subdued within, I think it was less than 5 minutes of the call.
yeah, they got 91 different phone calls from
sure.
the school
Everybody has
calling.
phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's phone. So, and I'll tell you my experience with cell phones at schools, which makes the whole environment much different. I went to go, and this was years ago. I went to go pick up my daughter from high school. She was a senior. I had to take her somewhere, and I go to the school, and I don't know if you remember passing periods and how crazy they were and loud and people talking and people yelling and running around in the hallways. The bell rang, and there was thousands of kids walking around, and none of them saying a word. They were all looking at their cell phones going between class.
Wow.
And they were all, that was their interaction. They all had their head downs. They were all headed to the next class, but they were all on their phones. Weird. It's a weird time. I mean, much different than when I was in school.
Well, and what amazed me, I watched the video there, and one of the sections, the parts of the video was there was maybe 10, 11 kids in a classroom that had the door barricaded, and somebody's outside saying, it's safe to come out, let us, open the door. And they were like, no, we're not comfortable. And the person on the other side of the door said, come on, bro. And as soon as they heard bro, all these kids said, that can't be a police officer saying bro. And they just exited out the back somehow and got across the campus and into another door and said, you're safe, to police officers. But it was just we talk all the time about situational awareness. These kids were so sharp that they kept the dialogue going. And when that person on the other side of the door said bro, they said, red flag. And they just ran out the back.
Probably not an adult.
Not a police officer, especially not a police officer.
Oh, good stuff. Hey, so let's move on to Barbados. Did anybody see that story about Barbados? They are now a republic. They are free from England. They are no longer, but they still remain in the Commonwealth, because what that means is the money still has the Queen on it, right? If they're in the Commonwealth, they still have the Queen on the money.
I think
They're
so.
under the protection of the Great Britain's military, but they now have elected officials that are no longer appointed. They are elected by their own government. So I believe that's the difference by being a republic. They have their own national flag now. They take down the Union Jack. They take down and they lose certain privileges, but they gain others in that retrospect. They still have a close tie with England overall. I believe their military still holds them, protects them, and if you mess with Barbados, you mess with Great Britain.
I think they always had their own flag, because if I'm not mistaken, they march separately in the Olympics.
Well, it has a Union Jack in it.
Oh, it
They
has
got
a little bit.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it has a Union Jack in it, and now it doesn't have it.
Oh, they got it.
Yeah, now they have their own. But interesting that that now that they're a republic, they're still closely tied. There's still a great friendship with England by all measures. I mean, even the Prince Charles was there during the ceremony, and the Queen even made a great statement that she was happy. But an interesting development in the Antilles, right? That's Barbados is located in the Southern Antilles, if I'm not mistaken, and very interesting development. There's a lot of places that are no longer under rule by England, but they still are very much protected by the Commonwealth. I think Belize is one of those. They are in the Commonwealth. The Queen still is on the money, but and they still have a military. Britain still has a very big military presence on the western border. So there's still a lot that goes on between those Commonwealth countries, but it's a very interesting story. I'll tell you a couple of things that I did see that was interesting that I wanted to bring to light today. One of those, what do y'all think about the electric roadway?
So I think this is a really interesting story. So this just came out pretty recently, actually, and it's not anything that's been proven yet. It's just kind of in the works right now, with different state DOTs exploring roadway charging to support electric-powered vehicles as we move into a more electric-powered fleet in terms of
I had Hot
regular
Wheels
vehicles.
that did this.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
What are you
for
talking
sure.
about?
Well,
I had
okay.
a set of Hot Wheels that did this.
I hear you.
And
I hear you.
And now we're developing Hot Wheels on the road to get. I think I had a set of Hot Wheels, either that or a Matchbox set that actually ran on a track that had a little electric push.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all remember anything like that? I mean,
Yeah, no.
I
So
think so.
it's not going to be a push though. It's just generating electricity through copper
oh yeah,
coils
just like my phone
within
rests on that
magnetic concrete that they're going to put down. Yeah, so it's
same
going to be
thing like
interesting.
that. When I put my phone on that plate,
Yes.
yeah, that plate of that charger. I wonder how much, because you're going to create it's not really good for humans to be within a big magnetic field, electromagnetic field. I can tell you that because I know for a fact that the electric company years ago had to make sure people were pushed away from their transformer stations because of the magnetic field and the development of certain illnesses by children being around those power lines and that
Yes.
stuff. And that's what we're talking about here. So I wonder what the dangers of that would be. I don't know.
I'm going to assume that since it's in the road and you've got a vehicle with grounded tires and a bunch of barriers between you and that roadway as you're driving, I got to think it might be pretty good. It'd be interesting to understand what happens like in a lightning storm, right? Because now my dad always said the safest place to be in a storm is in a vehicle from lightning because you're grounded with the rubber tires.
Oh, yeah.
Well, now you're still grounded, but now you're adding more electricity into the roadway.
Yeah, a little different. Like
Yeah,
So I
I'm
don't
sure.
wonder
I'm
if
sure
that
there's
will
going to be.
draw
It's
some
much different.
strikes.
One of them's static, one of them's alternating current. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of tests with weather and everything.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
this is a
it's a
long
neat
way
idea,
away.
right?
Interesting,
It's a
yeah.
long way away.
I
It's
was
still
thinking,
being.
why wouldn't we just do like maybe parking garages, not just roadways, but also parking garages or stations where you could just pull in. You don't have to plug in. You just pull in and park.
Yeah,
That
great.
Well, I mean, I think
That's a great
it's
idea.
more for efficiency's sake here, right? So if I'm a driver, I'm a professional driver, I'm saving a lot of time by not having to stop and fuel up. I can just stop,
Keep driving.
go to the bathroom, and then keep driving instead of fueling up, waiting around, going. And I think this saves a lot of time for those who do want those shorter breaks in between. Maybe not for people who do want to stretch their legs a little bit, but for certain drivers, this is going to be a big benefit if it does actually come out and work safely for drivers in Indiana.
Well, it's a huge thing, too, for the economy, right? Because if this thing goes, you're going to put a lot of jobs out there. You're going to be developing more cars, right? And I think a lot of this might be to push the sales of electronic cars, right? I think one of the big drawbacks is, well, you can only, I think the biggest one I read was about 300 miles on a single charge. And so this would allow you to go, like you said, without stopping if you didn't have to.
All right, and I'll tell you what, we'll be back in just a couple of minutes as we got more for you on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Hi, this is David Dover, also known as Drive Safe Dave. You are watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.
Safety is what you want to talk about, and safety is what you want to be every single day. That's what we're here for. We're here to make it better.
The industry needs BCB Live so that it can find new and inventive ways to bring safety to the forefront for every single person out there on the road.
You got to be prepared to stop. And when you look at that and you understand the situation that you're in, you got to know that it's going to change. You got to expect it to change, and you can't run those lights.
You can watch BCB Live weekdays, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. So what are you waiting for? Follow and subscribe to BCB Live today.
I thought we would do really quickly. We'll talk about the bomb exploding, and then I want to talk about the slowdown in construction on that truck about 100 miles. All right, this is Drive Safe Dave, and we're back. Hey, one other quick national story that I thought was interesting, and I wanted to give you all a couple of quick facts on. One of them was there was a World War II bomb that exploded in Munich, Germany yesterday, injuring several people. And what do you got?
Well, I was going to say our mics were hot during the break anyway, so I think the drivers might have heard just a little bit about what we were talking about.
Oh.
So that's just to preempt what we got here in Munich. We did have a bomb explode from World War II. Do you want to give us a little bit more information?
By the way, there are still, I don't know if y'all knew this, there are still 2,000 tons of unexploded munitions uncovered every single year in Germany. It is still, because of the amount of bombs that were dropped during World War II, they still uncover bombs every year, and a large portion of them. Remember, we dropped an incredible amount of tonnage of bombs, and 10% of every bomb that was dropped, 1 out of every 10 didn't explode. So on Germany and during the World War II conflict. And believe it or not, those bombs were so heavy. They're 400 pounds, or in some instances, 800 pounds. And when an 800-pound cylinder object strikes the ground, it buries itself pretty well in the ground. And if it doesn't explode, and that was the intent by design, that the bombs would bury themselves. Some would bury themselves deep in the ground, explode. Some would explode on the surface, and then some would explode 6 feet above the ground. They had it, so they would cover this entire, create this piecemeal type damage, and they created the most devastating effect, and that's how it worked. And a lot of those bombs that were designed to explode once they buried themselves didn't. But that's still powdered munitions and can be sensitive over time. And if it's encased in metal, it's pretty much saved itself from weather and buried underground. So it's still there, still a danger. And then yesterday, I think during a construction site, another one exploded, injuring several people. Fortunately, it was so buried, I believe, that it was still so far underground that it did just throw everything up in the air, and that's how everybody got hurt. But if it explodes, as you well know, if it explodes, it is. The bad thing about some of these bombs is people don't realize you don't have to be hit by anything. If you're in the close vicinity of one of these bombs exploding, I'm going to tell you that what it does is it liquefies your organs, and because of the impact of the explosion. So that's how dangerous these things are. So it amazed me that 2,000 tons. I mean, that's a lot that still are uncovered every single year in the deal. And I just wanted to mention that as those are some pretty interesting facts. We did have a crash, as you may have heard. We did have a crash in Van Horn yesterday. And Bob, the only reason I wanted to bring this up and I wanted to talk to you about it was construction zone.
Yes, yes. I mean, folks, the construction zone, we've seen videos, right, where guys are in a hole as traffic's going right by them within 3 feet, and, we talk all the time on the show about slowing it down, right? And it doesn't matter what the speed limit is. You can go under and should go under because you can affect the traffic behind you. And I think in this case, that was a huge concern.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened in this instance yesterday when the accident occurred in Van Horn. The driver did not slow entering into the construction zone and then struck the vehicle in front of him, killing the driver instantly. But because he didn't slow, the people behind him created a chain reaction because they were going just as fast as he was because they couldn't really see around him. So everybody right after him hit. So that's how important it is that you slow entering into these zones because you do control what happens behind you. You do control the environment in which you enter. You do control the traffic in a pattern. You do control what goes on. And it does matter what you do. And it does matter that you slow down. And it is very important that you maintain that focus of what's going on and understand that it may look clear and that it may look open. But as you enter into these construction zones, the best thing to do is slow down and beware that when you're entering into these single lane construction areas, you are entering a dangerous environment. I mean, you're entering into a world that is not the open road. And don't imagine it to be so. It is not the road in which you're out there cruising down the highway. This is a construction zone. This is an area in which creates danger. People are working or people have left the area in debris, and it can create a very dangerous situation. You got to make sure that you understand this as you move forward today.
Yeah, we several months ago we did some statistics, and what was amazing was that just 5 to 10 miles an hour increases the odds of, or lessens the odds of loss of life by 40%, right? And it just takes common sense. We talk all the time about situational awareness. You have to understand that when you're a truck leading into the construction zone, situational awareness, one, it's a construction zone, there's people there. Two, as you said, drive safe. You affect the traffic behind you. Three, you have to understand they can't see anything. So you have to slow them down. The chain reaction thing, they're tailgating, right? And that's going to happen in construction zones. You see it all the time. So you can't prevent them from tailgating behind you. What you can do is have them tailgate you at a safer speed. And you have to be that lead person. Slow it down. No matter what's going on in front of you, you have control over what's behind you a little bit by slowing everybody down.
Yeah, so when this vehicle struck the vehicle in front, it came to a complete stop, and then nobody could stop behind the truck because they're all moving at a high rate of speed, not intending to slow down whatsoever. And as you talk, Bob, they are too close, and a lot of the times people travel way too close. They don't have a safe distance. Not everybody is out there performing what they need to do, and that's what happens, and that's what happens in this instance. And sure enough, things happen. What you got?
Well, and I was going to say, I feel like this is especially true in these 2-lane highways that we see, which is where this happened. And you have 2 lanes, and anytime there's a little bit of traffic going on, everybody is riding super close to each other and pushing the person in front of them to move over so that they can get another couple of inches, a couple of feet ahead of where they were previously. So you have this line of cars that starts to happen. And as soon as one person stops to a point where they need to stop and come to a complete stop, the entire chain reaction of the lines on both sides, because you'll have people swerving out, all comes to a stop, creates a massive pileup, and especially in a construction zone where things are already shaky and the ground's going to be moving a lot and turns are going to be quicker. It was just a recipe for something bad to happen, and I think tailgating has a lot to do with that, as well as speed and space.
Yeah, we take for granted. We see a lot of the videos. We see people all the time in the videos, every single day. And it's not just us. It's every single person out there on the road truly doesn't give enough space to the vehicle in front of them and doesn't control that space. We see it, and I don't mean every vehicle. I hope not everybody believes me when I said, but I catch myself being too close. I catch myself going too close because traveling at a high rate of speed, on the freeway, all of a sudden I realize, hey, I'm well within 2 seconds of the vehicle in front of me because it's a high traffic time, right? 4:30, 5 o'clock, or what have you, out there running. There doesn't seem to be, we're not stopping, but we're all running a little bit too close. And I mean all of us in my immediate group, we're too tight. We're too tight packed. And as you're out there, you'll see these wolf packs running. And that's what I used to call them. I used to call them the wolf packs. They would be running at a high rate of speed together down the freeway. And as they encounter these slower moving objects, trucks, they start jockeying for position, bouncing around, lane jockeying, moving around. And they're doing it at 70 miles an hour, and they are way too close to one another. Oh, yeah. And I mean, it affects every single person's safety out there on the road. And I've been guilty of running too fast, too close to people in my own vehicle, right? Because I'm thinking about something else. I'm trying to get there. And then the next thing I know, I'm like, I can read the serial numbers on the windshield of the VIN numbers because I'm that close, because I've waited too long.
Well, isn't that kind of hard if you're behind them? How are you reading the windshield?
It's magic, Bob.
It's
you
magic?
got to know.
Okay.
You got to know where the VIN numbers are.
We got to
on
catch
vehicle.
you for false news, right? But no, great point. Just here on 287 at rush hour, it is crazy to watch the jockeying in positions. And again, you just got to pack the patience. And carriers out there, drivers out there, got to slow down and increase pace. These are two critical factors in protecting life. And as drives today, we've seen the videos where, you jump out real quick, and then all of a sudden your vision is blocked, right? You jump out behind another truck, whatever the case may be. You've got to understand that if something goes wrong, you have no out. And it all starts with slowing down, increasing space, and getting a bigger picture that you can. If there's two trucks in the lanes, I don't care how far you slow back, you're not going to get a good picture, which is more reason why you have to slow back and get back from increase that space, so that if something goes wrong with those two trucks, you're not even involved in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you got, Dylan?
Well, and I was going to say, and speaking of packing your patience, if you're over in Alabama right now expecting a Christmas gift, you might have to pack your patience as well, because recently it was found out that a FedEx driver who, just one guy, no motive whatsoever right now.
Unknown at this time.
Unknown at this time for 7 days straight, was dropping every single package out of his truck just anywhere. He was hiding them somewhere, I think, initially, and then he just started dropping these packages everywhere. So if you're expecting a Christmas gift this week and you're in Alabama, you might need to reorder or look at where your tracking is going, because you might not be getting that delivery on time.
I do know that they sent out a fleet of drivers to recover all the packages to do what they can to get them done, but I did read this story. What a weird story. I'm not, sometimes we come across just strange stories. This is another one of those just weird stories going on. There's no motive yet as to exactly why and what happened and transpired in this, but I'll tell you that. So what's interesting and what I thought was very interesting that about this story is that a fleet of FedEx drivers, who, by the way, are all contractors, actually came out to clean up the debris, and they went out there and did that. Kudos to them for stepping up and going out there and doing what they could to make sure that their company was well represented and to do everything. I found that the neatest part of the story is that these guys don't physically work, but they're contracted with the company, but because they carry the flag on their tractor, they went out and wanted to make a difference for their company. What an interesting and great story.
Do you think that FedEx driver is going to be visited by three ghosts tonight?
Maybe, or maybe he already
he's
was.
He's original Scrooge, isn't he? To do all that. Yeah, I think that guy needs three ghosts tonight.
Great. How about Scrooge? Not Scrooge, but what is his name? I got him up. The Grinch that stole Christmas? Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think his heart needs to grow a couple sizes before he does anything.
The Grinch.
The Grinch.
I actually have one of those in my yard that's 10 feet.
It used to be one of my favorite cartoons as a kid.
Not everybody over here actually gets to have a 10-foot Grinch in their front yard. You know, some of us live in apartments. You know, we can't afford nice yards and all that.
We get close to 10 foot. What did you say? You were 6'2"?
Yeah.
We get a 6-foot Grinch every day.
I'm not a Grinch.
No, you're not.
All right. Hey, listen, everybody. It is Thankful Thursday, and before we move on to the next segment, I want to make sure that we all take a moment to remember that we appreciate what it is you do and how it is you do it. It is Thursday. I know that we had Thanksgiving not too long ago. What was it, a week ago? A week ago. But here at BCB Live, we make sure that every Thursday we remember exactly what it means to us, that drivers, how important they are, what it is they do, and the sacrifices they make out there on the road. And I don't want to forget Thankful Thursday for a second. I don't want to miss the opportunity to say thank you. Bob, you want to say thank you on Thankful Thursday?
I do want to thank each and every driver out there. You know, one of the things as I've evolved over the years is just understanding what they go through. Each day I see more and more, and it just helps me when I talk to them. Like, you know, we talk all the time. Sometimes you have to talk about unpleasant subjects, and you have to really get to them. But you don't have to beat them over the head with a wooden spoon, so to speak. It doesn't have to be a beat down. It just has to be, hey, we want you to be the safest driver out there. And we're seeing more and more of that change. And it's just, hey, they're people. They're not numbers. And that, I think here, and I hope all carriers out there treat their drivers with that respect and thankfulness of the job that they've got to do each and every day.
Absolutely. And hey, you know what? We'll be right back with somebody named Buckle Up Bob with weather and
Ooh, a special
traffic.
guest.
Special guest right after these words.
Watching BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. BCB Live covers freight. Here we are now, 21% of record freight being rejected. News
down in Texas. We're going to talk a little bit about this. We had another $1.5 million seizure. If ever there's a time to do a pre or post trip, it's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Hey, good morning on this thankful Thursday. It is Buckle Up Bob, and we're going to kind of get everybody a little familiar with what's going on out there in some of the major cities throughout the country in the East. You know, again, we don't focus on the West because they're a couple hours behind us, and quite frankly, they're not running into any rush hour traffic. It's still 5 o'clock, 5:30 in the morning there. But hey, in the DFW area, again, for the second day in a row, it looks like we got a lot of issues going on. The loop all the way around has some trouble going through there. The 635 down to 20, right? Everything in between. Major problem here on 114 as you come into the Dallas area. Coming out on, or coming in from the east on 30, you also have a slowdown. The DFW or Fort Worth area, typical the same as down here by Burleson, coming up into Fort Worth. And again, all the construction that's just north of 820 Loop here was on there a week or so ago, and it is a nightmare over there with all the constructions. You've got some really weird lane changes due to that construction. So again, in the DFW Fort Worth area, you've got to slow down, increase that space today, because it looks like you're going to run into a lot of little pockets of that 5 to 10 minute slowdown. As we go to Kansas City, again, for Kansas City, this is bad, but all in all, it's not too bad. But for Kansas City, who's typically always green, we got a little section down here south of Leawood on the 435 loop where you might see a 5 to 10 minute delay. And then again, in the downtown area of Kansas City by the airport, you're also going to have a slowdown. But The rest of the loop looks really good. 70s clear on each side of the Metroplex. And again, 35 north by Clay Como and going north looks good, as well as it does a little bit of a small slowdown here as you come in just north of Olathe, Kansas, come heading into Overland Park. As we move to Chicago, this has just been amazing. Chicago's really looked good. I mean, when you consider always the major arteries are congested in Chicago, but the loops have been really good. We do have a little bit of about a 20-minute slowdown here on 294 up here just south of Bensonville near Addison and Maywood. On 294, you've got some backup in both directions, it looks like. Bolingbrook, again, pretty good. Just some inbound to the city. Slow down maybe 5 minutes here or there. 88 looks clear. 90 looks clear up north. And again, the 8094 coming in from Indiana looks good. A little bit of a problem here as you head northbound on 80 or eastbound, however it runs. It kind of angles up to the north. Just as you get past the Shorewood exit heading to New Lenox, Illinois this morning. Atlanta is a nightmare, folks. Boy, you've got to slow down. Maybe even think about pulling over. I mean, you just see it. It's all red. I mean, we've got it coming in from the east out here by Stonecrest. Got it coming from the west out here coming into this airport here. Just starts south of Austell, Georgia. And again, the entire northern side of the loop has red in both directions. 85. We hardly ever see the 85, but all the way out past east of Pleasant Hill, all the way into the loop at Doraville, you've got a major slowdown there. So you're going to expect about a 20 to 30-minute delay there, it looks like, based on the miles. I'm going to say that's probably close to a 15, 20-mile backup, probably an accident. Of course, downtown area all looks bad passing through. And just, again, a quick reminder, it is the Georgia state law that trucks cannot pass through the downtown area. They must take the loop, which is no bargain this morning. Even the southern part has a little bit of section, and then over here by Cook's Crossing and south of Ben Hill, Georgia, a little bit west of East Point, you've got some major slowdown on the northbound side of 285 there. Philadelphia's got its typical. It doesn't look like anything horribly different or bad or light. It just looks like typical rush hour traffic right here in the Philadelphia area. A little bit of a slowdown on 276 up in the Abington White Marsh area of Pennsylvania. The turnpike looks pretty good coming into the downtown area, but again, you can expect some 20 to 30-minute delays. The New Jersey side looks pretty good. Deptford here, right at the merge point, has a little bit of a backup, and you see a lot of spotty stop-and-go traffic going on the New Jersey side of the river there. So again, pretty normal commute, it looks like, for the Philadelphia area. So you can just expect the typical, 5-10 minute slowdowns here or there. Hopefully, drivers will have their patience this morning, and it will not get worse. As we look to Nashville, let me shrink it a little bit, maybe. But again, 24, wow. Ooh, 24, we got to back up all the way down to Sageville, coming up north from Sageville all the way to Beverly Heights. So very slow moving coming up on 24. Maybe if you've got an alternate route, take it, because, I mean, we're looking at probably close to a 30-mile stretch here or longer. Many of you drivers may know how far that is, but I'm going to guess that's somewhere about 30 miles. You've got some really slow traffic coming into the Nashville area. The loop looks really good, as you see. Again, always here, usually congested on the 40-24 merge right there. That is a nightmare. I've been there. It is not fun, especially during rush hour. And we have our typical 65-24 merge traffic up to north of the city. But that's really the main areas. The 155 loop, the expressway, looks really good, as does the southern portion as well of the loop of 440 coming up and around. So that would be the advice this morning as you come into the Nashville area. Take that 440 loop and go around the southern part. Oh, we got Baltimore. Baltimore looks, I don't know, I think it looks a little bit normal. Just some Parkville slowdown, and then over here at Lockern and Pikesville, you've got it in both directions. You got it southbound here on the just as you come into 70, and then going north and the eastern side up here by Pikesville, you're going to have some slowdown as well. Jessup, you got a little bit as you come out of the Baltimore area heading south. And then as you get into the Washington, D.C. area, starts to slow down here by South Laurel. And again, typical, the loop up at the northern part is always backed up. So again, you've got some 20 to 30-minute delays as you come up by Silver Spring, College Park area. Also, the loop down at the southern part has some backups as well. So again, you're looking at, nothing looks more than 20 to 30 minutes unless you get into the downtown area. We have a little bit of a backup as you come into the city on 66 near Sudley, Virginia. So just be mindful of that. Slow it down. Increase your space as you come into the D.C. area. All right, Indianapolis looks pretty good this morning, folks. Again, just a little slow down here in the southern eastern corner by Beech Grove, and that is going to be on the southbound and westbound areas. 70 looks pretty clear as you pass through the city. Just a little bit of a slowdown on the eastbound side, or I'm sorry, on the westbound side of traffic coming in and out of Indianapolis. Otherwise, it looks pretty normal, and nothing more than a 5-minute delay here or there in the Indianapolis area. As far as our weather, let's see. We talked about some little bit of snow flurries. Let's see what we got going on currently. Again, got some rain up here in the Canadian area, right there at just east of Erie, as you come across the Great Lakes there in Toronto. But the rest of the country looks pretty good as we start this morning. As we go through our day, let's see what we get this afternoon around 4 p.m. Again, a little bit of snow creeping in along the Canadian border. Just some wet stuff in New York, and a little bit in West Virginia, the New Jersey along the river there. Could see some rain today as well. New snow, not much going on, just a little bit up here in the New England states, but it all looks like it's less than a ½ inch in the next 24 hours. As we see the next 3 days, just to see, again, not a big change. A couple inches here near Utica, and maybe some dusting here coming across Ohio, the Indiana, and then a system it looks like coming out up here on the northwest in Washington, Montana, northern Idaho. We could see some in the next 3 days, 9 inches in the upper elevation. So again, that's going to be way up there. I do believe our temperatures are going to be pretty decent, as you can see, right around the freezing mark up there, and we've got 51 in Boise. So this is going to be in the upper elevations if they get any snowfall. The down highways in it looks like it's pretty good with temperatures in the near upper 40s to low 50s. Our wind gusts, what do we got? We got a little windy day today expected in the Pennsylvania, Virginia, right there in the arm of West Virginia, as we move to Pennsylvania up there just by that snow shower squall that's coming through Utica. You can see a little bit of a windy area. Forecasts are we might see some 40-mile-an-hour gusts, but in the mid-30s in the Pennsylvania. So again, it's going to require a 10 to 15-mile slowdown, right? You have to, folks, just trust me when I say when we investigate these accidents, the thought is always, I thought I was okay. And so what I want to just, and that's okay. We all have a higher opinion of what the wind's going to do to us or that what we can navigate. So whatever you think that slow speed is that you are safe, just do yourself a favor and slow it down by 5 more miles per hour, and you're going to be a whole lot closer to the what is the safest speed, especially in these gusts. These are forecasted, so it doesn't mean that they're going to get that high, but it also means they could be a little higher in certain pockets, and you do not want to be caught off guard. And that 30-mile-an-hour gust stretches all the way to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Again, we have some coming out here in Wyoming and Montana. And then for our Friday, the winds die down a little bit, right? We don't see much going on. Let's see if it picks up about 4. Yeah, we're looking in the 20s. So hey, this is going to be a one-day thing for the next 24 hours, and then it's going to get a whole lot better. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with some safety.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. And here we are again with Buckle Up Bob talking a little bit about defensive driving.
Defensive driving, intersections, right? We do extensive talk about intersections because of the danger that they present. And we want to make sure that when you come to these intersections, the number one thing that has to be expected is you have to be prepared to stop. Doesn't matter whether it's green, yellow, or red. You've got to be prepared to stop because these are the most dangerous areas in the roadway, are on the roadways, and there is an average of 165,000 accidents a year in at intersections that are strictly caused by people running red lights. That was phenomenal. To me, when I found that out, it's like these aren't just accidents that happen at intersections. There's 2.5 million of those, but 165,000 are caused by people who run red lights. When you see that kind of number, folks, you can't approach a red light and assume it's a safe crossing, even though you're green, because there's going to be 165,000 across the country annually running red lights. It is estimated by AAA and their numbers is that over 2 people a day, Dave, are killed at intersections by people running a red light. You know, I had one, I was looking at a video to use, and we'll try to share that a little bit later, but there was a pedestrians walking across the street, and the light is red, you know, and they're going to cross. So they're running parallel with the traffic. And all of a sudden, some car comes running a red light, and according to the people, they hit them on purpose. Coming from the other way. They tried to hit the rear or the front of the car and spin them out because they saw that they were going to kill those pedestrians. And they would have. The video, we'll get that on for the producer, but it was just crazy. It was nighttime, right? The pedestrians are hard to see, but they had a green walk, but then, again, somebody running a red light. But the average is a little over 2 a day are killed by people running red lights. That's not, there's more that are killed at intersections, but on average, 2 a day by people who run red lights. You have to be prepared to stop, folks. They're just too dangerous. We do have some videos. Speaking of videos, again, you know, here we got a driver just coming along the side, and we'll see what happens here. Truck starts to move in. Man, you know, situational awareness, late at night, for me, and I do actually do this, when I'm driving late at night, I assume, being in this industry, that every driver is fatigued. And I've been very careful when I pass them, you know, because it sure looks like that he's either distracted or possibly dozing off. Who knows, right? You just don't know. But you can see him drift over. See, and there's another thing, the warning sign, right? You see him get over on the rumble strips, Dave, there at the beginning. Might be a good idea for if you're in that next lane next to him, back off a little bit and see what's going to happen. Don't keep coming in and losing. See, right there, he's kind of drifting off to the right, running over the white line there, and now he's going to come back into our lane.
Oh, there's and every driver out there knows this situation. Every driver out there, we used to be on the CB, be like, hey, keep it in between the lines there, buddy. Keep it in the road. Keep it in between the lines. You're drifting. That could be any number of things. That could be distracted. That could be whatever the case. It could even be a gust of wind, believe it or not. you just got to be careful. You got to be mindful of what's going on out there, but definitely keep it in between the lines.
Yes, sir. Here again, you got to watch for, again, these emergency vehicles, folks. You are required by law. See, this is illegal. This driver
100%.
This driver could have been ticketed if there was a police officer there. It is required by law that you either move over in the lane, which is unsafe to do so in this case, or you reduce your speed by 25 miles per hour. You must do that when you come across emergency vehicles.
Absolutely.
It is a law.
Any vehicle,
Any emergency vehicle.
anybody out there working. It could be anything from a construction truck to even something so simple as a wrecker out there doing what it's doing. So you've got to make sure that you follow, because if you slow down, everybody behind you slows down, right? Moving around these vehicles, you don't always know what's going on, but give them the respect they're due out there on the road and slow down and be safe for them as well.
Yes, please, please. Here again, tailgating. Look at this. This is unacceptable. You are less than 50 feet behind us. When you look at the stripe there, right? You get a start to increase here, which is a good thing, but you got to avoid why were you tailgating in the first place here at the beginning, right? So again, you're looking in front of you. You got the big picture. You see if this is one of those where you're closing on the vehicle, then you can need to back off sooner, not wait till you get that close. And if you're trying to make a statement, it's unsafe to do so and unnecessary. You know, whatever the reason, there's no reason to tailgate. Again, you know, wow, be prepared to stop. No turns. Oh, there it is. Man, that's a hard signal to see, wasn't it? Yeah. But again, you see a vehicle on the side of the road. It's not an emergency vehicle, but folks, we know that vehicles on the side of the road can pull out. So you've got to slow it down. Be that situational awareness, especially when there's no way to get over. Great job, by the way, staying in your lane and being able to stop. Tremendous job here by this driver. But again, make sure. This next one again, you know, we talk about construction. There's the Jersey barriers. You can see the construction all around you. There is no out, so make sure we're not tailgating, right? Remember, speed has nothing to do with whether you're tailgating or not. It's distance, right? Speed helps you increase that distance, so you got to manage it. But you're tailgating in this case because you are less than 2 seconds, 3 seconds behind this vehicle. Again, we say 1001, right? And you're hitting a stripe. So
a lot of construction here. We talk about construction. We've talked about construction today. So got to make sure you slow down in the construction. Take your time, get through it, and don't be trying to bob and weave out of there because it doesn't do you any good.
Yep. Whoa, intersections.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah, great job by this driver. Not the driver's fault, But again, you kind of want to stay in the right lane. Not sure why you get over. Oh, this vehicle is turning. Stay patient. Just slow it down. You're coming up to the intersection. Again, nothing wrong here. Great job at seeing that. But that's what happens when you switch right before an intersection. Just make sure, be patient, right? This guy's going to turn and be out of your way in just about the same amount of time it took you to change the lanes. And then, again, you got this guy that's going to do something illegal right there.
Yeah, move into the oncoming lane to make a left-hand turn because he's trying to get there before the truck moves through the intersection and causes the truck to have to hard brake. I mean, that doesn't even make sense. So and we all try as drivers out there on the road, try to make sure that we don't incur a hard brake on anybody when we make a left turn because we're in the intersection even longer.
Yeah, and great job by that driver. I think speed limit was 35 and the driver was doing 29. Folks, this is what we talk about. That is an exceptional video to show you what 5 extra miles per hour can do to help you make those decisions and be able to stop and avoid the idiot that comes out there, right?
Show that video again. There's a lot going on in this
yes,
video.
There is.
So you've got right here. First of all, you got a railroad track, right? And you got the traffic stopped on the left with a railroad track. You got people turning into the lane, into the road. You got a driver turning off. All these different types of intersections going on with limited signage and all of it right here during this area. Here's an intersection. There's a railroad track. Traffic on the left. Intersection. Cars turning off. Cars trying to get in. A lot going on here. And because you've got so many things happening at one time. I'm okay if you're in the left lane, if a lot of cars are turning in and out. I'm okay with what's going on here. I do like the speed at which the driver's running at a decent speed to maintain and to be able to stop. But you know what? In this environment right here, in this back road environment, with what's going on here, you've got to just take it nice and easy through this environment, because you're going to get through it. But these suburb areas like this, low wires, I mean, look at all of the different things that you have to be watching in this moment and in this time, because everything about this right here says, hey, danger, danger, be careful, be careful. Hey, low wires, light poles, you know, all these things going on. And to make it matters worse, you got crazy drivers out there running around you trying to run in your lane head on to make a left-hand turn. Crazy stuff. But there was a lot going on there. Great video to look at and understand just how difficult it can be at any given moment, no matter where you go, to make your drop.
Yeah, and again, when you look at these 6 videos, pretty much all of them but one, you know, was other vehicles. And that's what, you know, it just, it's mind-boggling. You know, I think people know this stuff goes on, but I don't think they know the sheer volume and numbers that every one of you drivers out there, what you have to deal with every day. This is just a small sample size of, you know, when you take this little snippet in these little areas, right, you magnify that by probably 100,000 throughout the country. And that's what's going on out there, probably close to 500,000 times minimum, if not close to 1 million each and every day that drivers have to worry about.
Yeah, and you know, as we talk about it, and a lot of the drivers that are out there will encounter these new and different sites on an ongoing basis, and they, you know, and once they learn the skill set to drive and understand the safety aspect of it, they apply it differently in each situation. And as we've looked at it in this situation, in that one video, you go from out there on the open road construction area down to a suburban area, heavy traffic, and the intersections that you're talking about. And just imagine this situation being impounded, you know, compounded by what? Negative weather. Mm-hmm. You know, let's just say there's adverse weather conditions in this similar situation. And you're talking about an even more difficult time, whether it be heavy rain or even snow. You imagine people trying to do that left-hand turn in the oncoming lane, and you're trying to maintain, just take it nice and easy as we watch these, and understand that in these difficult situations, you've got to make sure that you react accordingly. And I think, Bob, really slowing down is probably the ideal position on most of it. I'm not saying run out there on the open road at a slow rate of speed. What I am saying is that as you encounter adverse situations, no matter what they are, whether they're construction zones or whether they're traffic, or whether they are weather conditions, or whether they are whatever the key is, I would suggest and I would ask that you slow down first and then figure out where you need to be and then make the according adjustment to go forward.
Yes. One of the things as I research these topics and I get these numbers and statistics off of the web, one thing I found, and I believe it, and we see it in the videos, you know, over the last month or two, some of our most dangerous videos by other vehicles, right, is happening on rural highways. And what I found yesterday in doing some research for some training modules that we are setting up was that the high rate of fatalities, most truck driving, big rig accident fatalities do not happen on major interstates. They actually happen on the rural highways. And we see why. You know, we see these little towns pop up, but we've even seen the rises, right, the last couple of weeks, where trucks are passing in double yellow lines and ignoring all the safety signs that are out there. And I think that's what happens. You get on these rural areas and you get out of the traffic and you just think it's safe because you don't see anything. But the signs, the yellow lines, they're there for a reason, because there is somebody on the other side of that ridge coming up, and you have to be ready for that.
And Bob, I just want to make sure that everybody understands you have to treat those situations like you would any gun. Like my father taught me a long time ago, every gun is loaded. Treat it as if it is, no matter when you pick it up, no matter even if you saw somebody clear it, you always treat a weapon as if it's loaded. And you always treat everyone out there on the open road with respect, and that you always treat it that the danger can be applied to you. So when you're talking about there is somebody coming up over the hill, there is somebody going to be turning on the road, there is somebody going to be stopping in the roadway, You have to treat those situations accordingly, and it's the same way. And you know what? It's the same danger, if not more so, because more people killed on the highway today than they are with weapons and guns. I'll tell you what, Bob, why don't we go ahead and close it with you go ahead and close it with a quick prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we first of all, we pray for the families at the school in Michigan, Lord. We just pray that somehow that makes sense. And Lord, everybody that's struggling with how they're feeling this time of year or whatever provokes this kind of violence, we ask that you just allow the Holy Spirit to get into their hearts, Lord. Let them see you, not anything else, not their desires or their circumstances at the time. But let them put their focus on you, Lord, that as they draw nearer to you, you will draw nearer to them. Lord, we pray this with all of our heart. Protect our drivers. Protect all drivers out there each and every day as you see what they're up against, Lord, as they see what they're up against. Protect them. Give them the joyful and trusting heart to make the right, safe, life-protecting decisions each and every mile, each and every second, Heavenly Father. Lord, bring them home to their families each and every day, and it is in your Son, Jesus' name, we pray these things.
Hey,
Amen.
thank you, Bob. And hey, everybody out there, let's be safe, let's be careful, and let's be mindful of what's going on around us. Let's do what we can to be safe and make a difference today, because it's up to you. It's up to each and every person to change this industry for what it can be and what it should be for everyone out there on the road. Do what you can. It is Buckle Up Bob, the producer, and Drive Safe Dave here at BCB Live, the safest station in the nation. We'll see you this afternoon. Bye, everybody.